Hi everyone and welcome back to Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks, and today we're going to do our practice run of Oak Hill. And this is a brand new series for 2024. We've purchased some discs to get us started, and we're recommending that if you're brand new to the game, that this is a good idea to help you get a jump start in the game and not be quite so frustrated with discs that don't fly the way they should. And so if you're wondering how to acquire these discs, just check back on a previous video here at our channel on getting started. And that will help you pick the same packs, the two packs that we got, the Strive pack and the Tournament pack. And if you grab those, you can follow along and do the same things that I do, and it'll get you through Oak Hill real fast and allow you to progress down through the courses much faster than if you're trying to go the free route. That's what I recommend. I've done both ways a couple of times, and when I try the free route, I just find myself struggling with some of the courses and having difficulty getting all 3 stars and moving on, and just find it a lot easier to pick up a few packs of discs. They're not that expensive. All right, so let's take a look at Oak Hill. Hit the practice mode, hit round, and go down to Oak Hill, and let's get started. A nice rainy day we got here. Now, let's see, there's a couple of ways to get down to the basket. Unfortunately, the discs we have in our bag might fall short a little bit, but the best one would probably be the light extra glide to get us as far as what we want to do. There's a couple ways you can go on either side of this tree here. And if you're going on this side of the tree, use the backhand. And in this wind condition, I might put just a little bit of a hyzer on that. And let's see how far this disc goes. Slides in, but does leave us just a little shorter than what we would like. One of these days, 25, that's not too bad. But remember, we're working with a really bad putter here. Let's try it with our... By the way, you might notice that we have a different compass today. We picked this up as a disc reward for our 3-starring Blueberry Thicket. And this one's a little better than the compass that we did have. The real difference is it has the accurate attribute. And what that means when you have the accurate attribute is when you pull it down, you'll notice that the aiming device kind of moves around on its own. I think we've explained this in the past. This just adds a little variability into the game, just as if it was real life, the way it releases from your finger different each time, or your hand. So this adds a little bit of realism to the game. If there wasn't this motion movement, every shot would be identical. And so this adds variability, but when you have a disc that has the accurate attribute, it's not going to move around nearly as much. So it's good to have that. However, this compass, I think, still does fade quite a bit. And we've got a wind to deal with, so I'm going to try something like right about there, and let's see what happens. In it goes for a nice eagle. Let's try the other way, and that is switching to a forehand and come around on the other side of the tree. And I would say let's use the extra glide again, the light. That's probably going to get us down a little further. Still leaves us a little bit short of the basket, shorter than the other one. And the reason is, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, when you use the forehand, like we just did, any given disc that you might have in your bag is only going to go about 80% of the distance that it would if you used your backhand. That's just the way it works. So whenever you switch to forehand, just keep that in mind. Your disc is not going to go quite as far. All right, but that leaves us still within range, still possible. Let's see what we can do here. And 35 meters, we're just going to bring it down just a little bit more than normal. Ooh, that really did fade. Of course, the wind helped it along there. 17 meters, let's bring this down and counteract the wind with the natural fade. Probably just leave it front and center. Hope for the best. Yeah, there we go. But it still gives us a birdie, and when you're going for your 3 stars, that's all you really need. But between the two approaches, I would say the best way I've found over the years is going with the backhand and use your longest distance driver. Eventually, you'll acquire a big skip distance driver, and that will add just a little bit more distance, sometimes even take you beyond this basket. I'm tempted to just go ahead and purchase one to make it easier to show you the options that you have when you do have a big skip distance driver, but I think we'll hold off a couple of courses before we purchase that set, just to show you what you can do with what we've started with. So let's give this another go. We've got the advantage of the wind at our back. We should be able to make it down there close enough to the basket. Yeah, can't complain about that at all. So notice how much the wind can affect the flight of your disc. I didn't always appreciate that when I first started the game. The wind can make a big difference in the flight of your disc. So keep your eye on the direction and the speed of that wind. Let's go on to our next hole. For this one, given the discs that we have in the bag, I believe the one that is presented by the game by default is probably the best. Let's just bring it down a little bit. I think straight down is fine, maybe not quite all the way down. And that should bring us right up to the basket. Boom, you can't get much better than that. And I don't know that there's any other play there with the discs that we have in our bag. I mean, we could go the other way, forehand with the same disc, and pull all the way back and see what that does. About the same. Let's go to the next hole, and this one here again would benefit from the big skip distance driver, but let's work with what we have, the Extra Glide Light. And for this one, I usually bring my pointer down right to the edge of the little pond there at about here. And this drive disc naturally fades to the right. But with some of the other discs that you might work with, like the Rive or the Ballista disc, you would want to put just a little bit of an anhyzer on this. Otherwise, you're going to go too far to the left and up a hill and be a little bit too far away from the basket. But because this one naturally fades to the right, I think we can just pull down straight. Look at the way it goes off, but then comes back and approaches the basket nicely. So these Strive discs are actually pretty good. I'm impressed. I've never worked with the Strive discs before, but it is working out well. Nice pack. All right, with a distance of 14 meters, that disc is probably not going to fade very much at all, so we're not going to compensate much at all, and just pop it in. Did fade a little bit though. For our eagle, I really don't think I can show you anything different, and that's just the play there. With the 2-speed wind in that direction, we might compensate just a little bit differently. But pointer still down to the edge of the lake, and might just put just a hair of hyzer on that, and looks like we really didn't need to. Well, that still comes up nice. 26 meters. I think I'll allow for a little bit of a fade there. Really does fade, doesn't it? But don't worry, all you need is the birdie. For now, when you do get a better bag of discs, you will most likely get an eagle on this hole most of the time. Sometimes your disc will not skip the way it should, but once you get a skip distance driver, you should be able to get an eagle on this hole every time. All right, here is where we're going to take advantage of our Strive disc with the roll attribute. What we're going to do is actually change from a forehand to a backhand. That seems a little counterintuitive given that the basket is way over to the right of us. But when you're doing an actual roll, you want it forehand. And let's put our disc all the way up here to start our roller and just let it go. And that should roll right down the field and bring us up very close to the basket. Oh, we did go up a hill here. Let's see what we're left with. 38, that's just a little bit more than what we'd like with this compass disc. Now, shooting downhill a little bit, so keep that in mind. Yeah, it's a little bit short. Let's throw it in, get our birdie, and try again. Toss it in, I should say. Replay hole. This time, I didn't really pay attention to the wind last time, so I'm not sure where we were at with that. It shouldn't have gone so far off to the right. Let's try it again. We're doing a little better this time. Still wanting to go up that hill. But I think we are a little closer this time. 24 meters. There we are for our eagle. So you can see that this course, if you practice a little bit, there are at least 3 or 4 possible eagles. And so it will be very easy for you to get your 3 stars on this one once you learn how to get the eagles. Let's go on to our next hole. Here's another one that is eagle potential, even with the discs that we have. Let's see. I think we found that the best one is the light again. We've got quite a bit of a wind here, so I'm not going to put too much of a hyzer. Yeah, that wind took it a little bit more than what I would like. But we might be able to get this. Nope. Well, we can get a birdie at least. Let's give it another go. That looks a little better. Coming in nice. That's more like what we want for our eagle. So there you go. That's how you do it. Next hole. All right, here's a hole that once you get a big skip disc, either Ballista or Rive, you will be able to easily get an eagle on this one as well. However, even now it is possible. Let's start out by using our Explorer here, our 7-speed, and you don't have to worry. You can pull it all the way back and it will never run the danger of going into I was going to say it never runs the danger of going into the the river, but it did hit that stone and that gave it a little bit of energy. Let's rethrow and try that again all the way back. And as long as it doesn't hit that stone, that grass is just going to hold it. And now we're within range to get the basket in 2, which would be an eagle. Because we did a rethrow, it wouldn't show up as an eagle. But if we get this, it would be as if I'm allowing a lot of space to fade into that basket. Not enough. All right, let's play it again, Sam. Quite the wind to deal with here. Might compensate a little bit. And really adds to the difficulty when you've got a strong wind and a putter or disc that just likes to fade away. All right, with 38 meters, let's bring it down to about here for a normal throw for that distance. And no, not quite. All right, but we still can come back for our birdie, and that's all we're really interested in at this point until we can get some better discs. Next hole. All right, here is actually another chance for an eagle. We're working with some discs here that we don't really know how they fly on this hole. That's one of the nice things about having the practice mode. You can try things out. The idea is to kind of bring your disc so it just kind of bounces on the top crest of this hill and comes down towards the basket. That's what you want. And then if you can get it in from here, which we should be able to, you've got your eagle. Let's try it again, and we'll use our roll disc again. I think I'm going to put it up a little ways. The wind is in a different direction this time, so I might put more of what would be a hyzer on it this time to compensate for that, and hope that it hits the top of that hill, just to slow things down a bit. Otherwise, you run the risk of going out of bounds on this one. All right, that left us a little further away than what we would like. But let's see if we can't still get our eagle here. Ooh. Need to learn that disc. But we come back for our birdie. Hole number 8. If you had a big skip distance driver here, this is another opportunity to get an eagle. Like I said, there's a lot of chances to get eagles on this course. Some of the pros show you their cards, and on this particular course, they can have almost all eagles. There's a chance here. Let's see if we can get it. It's hard to see what we're doing here. We are going quite a change of elevation, so when you're changing elevation, you usually like to compensate for that too and pull it down a little bit more than what you were used to. And look at that, we got our eagle. So maybe we'll do it again and talk about it a little bit. The idea is to, well, the best approach, I think, is to send your disc in between these two trees. If it hits the leaves of either of these trees, it's going to fall too short for you and make it difficult to get your eagle. And with this drive, because we know it naturally fades a little bit to the right, usually we could just pull it straight down or just put just a slide on it. But in this wind condition, we need to go just a little bit more, I'm thinking, to get around that tree without hitting the leaves. Looks like, ooh, we went right over the top. But that is going to send us off too far to the left. So this is going to be a hard throw here. A real tester shot, some might say. Especially with this wind. 42 uphill. I'm thinking somewhere right about there. But thankfully, all we need is a birdie. Might do it one more time. There is another approach that you can try, and that is to put your pointer somewhere about there and come over towards that first tree enough so that you can still get a bite on that hill. Looks like we did it too much. When it hits those leaves, it just doesn't climb the hill as much as you'd like. Let's try a rethrow. Don't put quite so much this time. And that's a little better. We don't have much of a change of elevation here, so I don't think I'll compensate too much for that. But watch the cameraman there. Okay, so that's in for 2. It would have been an eagle if we could get rid of that first shot. All right, last hole. And oh, by the way, you see that little red arrow up there? That's what's called a mando. You'll see up in the map in the top left-hand corner, mando left. And that means that we have to go left around that arrow. And you can kind of tell by where the actual arrow pointer part of the arrow is pointing. So we have to go around to the left. When you first play the game, you might think, oh, I should just sneak down to the basket this way. But you'd lose a point. In fact, they might even bring you back to the tee to do it again because you didn't go around the mando. And so keep that in mind as you're playing this hole. You need to go to the left of that mando. And as far as what disc we should use, I think any one of the Strives would probably work. None of these are ideal. Actually, I think I remember from when I used to play the game a long time ago, this 12-speed, I think that actually works well here. Let's try that out. This recoil. Can't remember. I think I did use this disc. Yeah. I think that's the disc to use on this hole. I know it's good for something. We haven't used it once yet at all. It's been so long since I've played with that recoil. There's a few holes where it really shines, and I guess this is one of them. Let's try it again. The idea is to just kind of center it up and put a half hyzer on it. And just let it skip into place. Ooh, that went a little further than what we would like. 24 meters to come back. Ooh, a little short. So we end up with a par that time. Actually, because you'll probably get 2 or 3 eagles as you're going for your 3 stars, it's okay to get 1 par, but it's just a little embarrassing to get a par. So let's do it one more time. That's kind of what we're looking for. All right, just before we finish up, let's go back to our practice mode, choose Oak Hill, and take another look at 7 and just point out that even though it's kind of lost in the trees there, if you look up at your map in the top left-hand corner, you do see that there is a mando that you have to go around on this hole. So, when you first play it, you might think, oh, I'm just going to use my backhand and just sneak through the trees here. But if you try and do that, you're going to be on the wrong side of that mando. In fact, the tree slowed me down so much that we didn't even get down as far as the mando. But just know there is a mando on that. All right, well, that does it for our video today, a practice run of Oak Hill. Hope you were able to pick up a few tips to help you along your way to get 3 stars. And in our next video, we'll go ahead and get our 3 stars on Oak Hill. And with all of those eagles that we can get, it should be fairly easy. We'll see you next time here at Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks. So long for today.